I'll show you one of the ways of destroying the modern defense. The ideas of it is to launch a kingside attack and get the d-file. The universal way of doing that is by playing e4, d4, developing the queenside pieces with knight c3, bishop e3, and as soon as they play knight f6, we want to place the pawn on f3. Queen on d2 to control the c1 h6 diagonal. The next step is to castle long. Once our king is safe, we can launch an attack with the dark squared bishops trading and pushing h4, as well as the g-pawn supported by the other bishop. This way, the flank pawns are solid, but they can advance farther, thus surrounding the king and potentially mating them. The moves shown here are perfect for white, but if you play this setup, you'll have an advantage anyway. This was part 1 of how to beat modern defenseware. I will show you the next one. Now, let's assume that black is programmed to play g6. Then you could play b4, which is the Polish opening. The ideas are to dominate the queenside, and it's easy to memorize as it's always the same setup. The second move is obviously bishop b2. After they develop the knight, you should play e3 unleashing the white squared bishop, then c4, then the knights come out, you play bishop e2. As they fianchetto the bishop, you end the development with d4, short castling, then e3. While it may not seem that devastating, you have much more space and you can potentially create threats on the queen side and overall take over the board. The example game that I will show you may seem absurd, but my opponent was really programmed to play the modern defense, the second move, and he just blunders the bishop and the rook. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't play the modern defense, or should you? In the next part of the video I'll show you the strategy for black. So, the main strategy always remains not only playing defensively, but also pushing the pawns in the center. So, against our setup, black can play d5, and if white tries to hold onto the pawn, black can play c6 and receive some compensation for that pawn as they can start their own attack with a6 and b5. The attack is getting really annoying here for white as black could play knight a5 and trade off the bishop to push furthermore.
Against the Polish, however, you shouldn't play the modern defense. Instead, you should try to quickly castle with the moves developing the kingside, then just develop your other knight through d7 to c5, a5, and you have a good position.